Welcome to the Karen Kenney Show.
Hey, you guys, welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. I'm just going to dive right into this sucker. And one of the caveats, one of the things I want to say up front is this. I'm fully aware that there are people who are going to give you their unsolicited opinion. Oh my God. I may be guilty of this myself sometimes, but I really try not to. I do try not to, but I know sometimes I still do it. But I just want to say caveat up front that I am aware that even before the internet, there were people who would just blurt things out, say things, and offer their opinion when you did not fucking ask for it. That's the little caveat to keep in mind for the rest of this episode. But one of the things I do want to focus on, and this is going to be a short sucker, I just got to get this off my chest, is that I think one of the worst things that the internet did was kind of embolden everyone into thinking that their opinion matters. That they got to have an opinion about everything. They got to have a hot take on everything. Not only do they got to have an opinion, that they got to share it with you. And so, kind of the heartbeat of this episode is just a little PSA, a little reminder to me. I always say, for my ears first, and for everybody else at the that your life, that like life is not the internet, meaning that the things that people do online do not always carry over well or in a helpful way to real life. The internet is not real life, okay? So what happens person to person, face to face, should not be the same shit that you tend to get away with, a lot of you, not pointing at you, my beautiful listeners. I'm just saying the people be peopling online, okay? But here's the thing. I love that people are realizing that they have a voice. And when you realize that you have a voice, it's a very powerful thing because you can use it to stand up for yourself, to put healthy boundaries in place, to be a voice for the voiceless, for the powerless, right? Like as a vegan, like that's one of my things is I get to be a voice for the voiceless. I get to speak up for the animals. You get to advocate for children or maybe the elderly or people who don't have the ability to ask others to stop harming them or hurting them or stealing from them or abusing them or whatever the awful thing is, right? I love that we're realizing that we have a voice and that we can use it. That is one thing the internet, I think, has given people the gift of, is realizing that maybe they do have thoughts about things and feelings about things and they have a voice. But the way that we use that voice really matters. And what I realized is that, and I'm going to tell you an actual, like a story, of course, there's always a story with me. But one of the things that I feel like is that because so many people who now, because of like comment sections, right? So think about it on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube videos or whatever. It's always that comment section. So people just feel like, oh, well, the comment thing is here. So I can just say whatever I think. I'm safe at home or in my mom's basement or at my job or like at the internet cafe or at Starbucks or wherever you are, on my little phone, on my computer, on my tablet. I don't know these people. And some people, literally, this is what they do for a living. They just write mean shit to agitate, right? To be cruel. So people feel like that they can say anything. They can say anything mean. They can say anything low. They can say anything stupid or cruel or vapid or hateful or vile or threatening or racist or, on and on and on. And so not everybody is using the comment section in a kind way. And the other day, right? Okay. So, like I said, I think there are some people on the planet who are just going to offer up and say whatever they want to say, regardless. Okay. It's not the quote unquote internet's fault. But I do think that the internet and, hit like, hit this, hit that, blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. More than that. Tell us what you think. Use your voice. Let's get engagement. It's all designed. First of all, we all know this by now, don't we? We all know what this is really about. that everybody thinks, oh, we're using these free services and we're so lucky. It's like, no, you are the product. Your time and attention is the product, and they're selling you, right? They're trying to keep you on their platform. That's why there are comment section. That's why there are likes and shares and make this and do that, because they're trying to keep you on the platform that can sell more ad dollars. That's all it is. It's like we're little mice on the wheel and we're keeping the fucking electricity on at these places, you know? We are part of the problem, PS. But and we're back. So I'm going to tell you a little story. So I was at a place the other day, and my friend owns this business, and there are people frequenting this business. And there was people who were like walking around and looking at the stuff on the walls, and it was lovely. And the artists were like talking about their work, and it was beautiful, right? And I find it so fascinating. So I was standing with my friend when all of a sudden this person came over, and I could tell just by the way they took a breath. First of all, I can like I'm pretty good at reading people. I think not just me, a lot of us are. And just the way, first of all, their physical body language, I was like, "Oh, here it comes." Like I literally just felt it in my body. Here it comes. The way they sauntered over, the way they paused, the way they looked, the way they took in that first breath, and then they said, can I just make a comment?" Can I just make a comment? And I felt my body immediately contract a little bit. And I literally felt for my friend, excuse me, because it's not my business. I just felt for my friend. And in that moment, we both paused before we said anything, right? So I'm just a bystander. Like I'm listening to what's about to happen. And I heard my friend like just literally take this beat, this pause, and they're like, yeah, sure. Because whenever somebody prefaces that, it's almost never going to be something positive. It's either going to be something subjective, it's going to be their personal opinion, or it's going to be like a preference that they have. It's not going to be, oh my God, excuse me, your space is so beautiful, or I love this, or I love that. It's almost always going to be like, can I just make a suggestion? And they went on to say something that in fairness was, I mean, it was a preference, right? It was a preference that they were offering up, but I understood what they were saying. And I thought, okay, that's not too bad, right? You know what I mean? I was like, okay, that wasn't mean or cruel or whatever. But I could just tell, like, oh yeah, here they come. They're gonna come and they're gonna drop their opinion in our laps. Now, a lot of us Gen X kids, we were raised by people who said things like, look, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I get it. I do think though, there are times we have to speak up. There are times we have to use our voice and again, defend somebody else or draw a line in the sand and say, no, not on my watch, and speak up for other people or people who are in danger and use your white privilege to help other people. You know what I mean? There are times when we need to use our voice. But so much of what people think they feel like they need to tell you. And I see this sometimes too and I want to be wicked clear with what I'm about to say, because I don't want anybody to feel attacked or like I'm judging them or whatever. But one of the things that I have seen sometimes in older populations or older populations of people who like have lived alone for a really long time, one of the things about living with other humans, right? Because even with animals, you can kind of get away with like your own opinions all the time. But one of the things about living with other humans is you say things on a daily basis and the other person gets to push back. The other person gets to say, hey, say more about that because I don't understand where you're coming from. Or, hey, I disagree with you. Or, hey, what's that attitude about? Or, hey, that thinking's getting a little squirrely. Like, what's that about? Or whatever, right? Other people are like little bumper rails for us. And they're little like they throw down like a yellow flag on the field and they say, we're getting into dangerous territory here. Hey, you might want to rethink that. Or, hey, did you check your source on that? You know what I mean? So when people live alone or spend a lot of time alone, a lot of time their own thinking, and sometimes it's stinking thinking, sometimes it's not great thinking, right? It doesn't get challenged. It doesn't get the sharp edges don't get worn off by being in relationship with other people. So I don't know sometimes if people just finally get around other people and they want to share what's on their heart or on their mind or whatever. I'm like, that's great. That's what therapy is for. That's what friendships are for and stuff like that. But sometimes people just think that they can blurt shit out and that there are no consequences. We see it all the time on the internet. They just think there's a comment section. I didn't like that video. I don't like the way that woman's body looks. I don't like the way that person is talking. I don't like that you're and they just will say the most horrendous, hurtful, unkind, mean on purpose shit. You know what I mean? And so while I was also at my friend's business, I heard another story from somebody saying that there had been an event and the event was beautiful and a bunch of people had come, right? And so we were talking with another person and we were hearing this story and that because we were saying how somebody had just come up and said, "Can I make a comment?" And it's, another story came out of that. And so this person was saying that they were at an event. And this person, the event went fantastic. Everybody loved it. It was great. There was incredible feedback. But this one person had to come over. And they basically are like, the event was fantastic. But you know what you should have done instead with the space? You should have blah, 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 blah. Like if you're seeing me right now, I'm scrunching up my face and I'm using both hands to scratch the top of my head, like, oh, like I just want to pull my hair out. So it's like there's something that one of my meditation teachers, Eknath Easwaran, what Easwaran taught was it was from an old, I can't remember. Is it a Sufi saying? But there's an old wise saying that says something like your words should pass through three gates. The first one, is it true? And then the second gate is it kind? And then the third gate is it necessary? Now, most comments would get stopped at, is this true? Because these days also another thing that's happened with the age of the internet and everybody doing quote unquote work on themselves. It's one of those phrases that became very popular. When somebody would say something totally assholery, they would say, "Well, I'm just sharing my truth. I'm just sharing my truth." I'm like, more you're just saying I'm sharing my opinion. But people love to share their truth, don't they? But if you were really honest with yourself, you would realize that what I'm about to say isn't necessarily true. It's just what I think. It's what I feel. It's what I believe, right? It's like, that's my truth. It's like, no. So a lot of us would just get stopped at that first gate. Is this true? Is it true that the event space should have done this instead? They should have put down a carpet. They should have used different colored glasses, whatever it was, right? Is that true? Or is that just a personal preference? Number one, subjective. The second one, is it kind? And it's like, if what you're about to say isn't going to be kind, do you know what I mean? Like, why are you saying it? Like, it's like when people will say, "Oh, did you get your hair cut?" Or random people would be like, "Oh, I liked it better when your hair was long or short," or "I liked it better when you had more of this and less of that." Really? Because I don't fucking recall asking you. Okay, I got more on that. I'm going to circle back to that one in a minute. Number three, is it necessary? I think the world is inundated right now. I think the internet is inundated right now with everybody. And this right here, I get it. I get the irony of this. That I am basically giving my opinion on my podcast, right? People don't have to listen to this, though. You know what I mean? People can just say, "Oh, I don't like her," and turn it off, and that's fine. You can eject yourself from the seat anytime you want to. But it's like they just think that like I'm like most of what we talk about, most of what people put in the comments, it's just not necessary. It's not necessary. Like why? I'm shaking like why? Right? But sometimes we just love the quote unquote sound of our own voice in our head as we're typing or whatever. So we got to do better, people. We got to do better. And it's like people love to say mean things online. And back in the day, like I think it was Mike Tyson who basically said something, people have gotten too comfortable with saying things or posting things online and not getting punched in the face for it, And I'm not an advocate of violence, but I will tell you this, growing up where I grew up in Lawrence, Mass, your mouth, right? Like if you thought you were just going to say to somebody exactly what you wanted to say and think that there was not going to be a consequence for the shit that was coming out of your mouth, you were mistaken. You were mistaken. And this is something that I just want to remind people, right? In-person life, human to human relationships, face to face, like life, right? Is not the fucking internet. We have to slow down. We should pause. We should think about the thing that we're about to say. You should run it through the three gates. Is this true? Most of us would get stopped right there. If you don't get stopped there, is it kind? Man, give yourself a little Mr. Rogers check. Give yourself a little Mr. Bob Ross check. Give yourself a little Jesus check or something, right? Like check in, like, is this thing I'm about to say, is it kind and loving? Is it compassionate? Because I do understand that sometimes we have to say something difficult, but it's the energy in which we say it. It's the intention with which we say it. We can say hard things, truthy truth things, but we do it with love. We do it without the intention to be cruel or to be unkind. And then we can ask ourselves, is this necessary? Is this thing I'm about to say or type? I can't tell you how many times I've seen something online and I go to start to give my opinion and I just stop myself because I go like, yeah, is this something that I would say to that person's face? Is this something that passes through the three gates? And I just stop. I'm like, what's the point? Why are you saying this and why are you doing this? Okay. So here's a little something that I thought was funny. My sweetie said this the other day and I chuckled out loud. And we were saying how sometimes, and I think back in my life when I've shared something tender with somebody, or I've shared something vulnerable with somebody, or one of the big ones that often comes to mind is when I was trying to start to claim the fact that I was a writer. And I've told this story before, where one of my writing teachers, Barbara Abercrombie, it's hard for me to say that name. She's not with us anymore, but she taught at UCLA Extension. And I took memoir class with her and took a few classes with her. I think it was like called Courage and Craft was one of the classes I took with her. She was so brilliant and I loved her so much. And she had given us the homework of like, and I was going home from California, back east on a break. What it was, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it was. And she gave us the homework to like, start saying out loud, like practice saying, I'm a writer. She's like, writer's right. You're in this class. You're writing. You're turning in work. You are a writer. And I was like, okay. And so I tell the story in the book. You can hear the story in the book, but the point that I'm making is I made a point to try to practice saying that. And I said it out loud one time. And somebody in my life insisted on embarrassing me and not being very nice. So their words did not pass. It should not have passed through true, kind, or necessary, because that was the opposite. What they said was the opposite of all three. But I think that, what my sweetie was saying, first of all, the reason why I'm bringing that up is that when we go to share something vulnerable or tender or whatever, my sweetie said we should just be able to say to people, like, the comment section is turned off for this post. So I'm going to go deeper into that in a second. So look, if you're posting stuff online and people are being cruel or unkind or attacking you. Like you're posting something maybe politically, or you're posting something about a workshop you're doing, or you're posting something about a workout you just completed, or whatever it is. And people come into the comments and just stop being really cruel. There's three things you can do. Number one is you can turn off comments for your post, right? You can delete comments. And then if necessary, you can block some motherfuckers. You can just block people. You can be like, nope, nope, not open for this, right? Not open for this. And I think even I was watching a clip of an interview the other day, and it was a neuroscientist, and he was talking to Oprah for her podcast show, whatever. And she was saying that she has now turned off comments. She goes, because the vitriol, the stuff that people were just saying, she's just like, yeah, we just turn off comments now. So here's the thing. In real life, because I was thinking of my friend, when my friend was telling me, the comments that people were making at her business. And I said to her, you should just have like a blanket statement answer. And I was just joking around. I was Vicky with 2Ks was like giving suggestions. And she was like, I said, you could just turn to them and say, what's so fascinating is I don't remember asking you. I don't remember asking you for your suggestion, your feedback, or your opinion. And it's one of the reasons why in Write Club, my monthly writing workshops, we have very specific guardrails in place. I guide people with a very specific approach and a set of rules and guidelines, because we do not tear each other down. We only build up. We only give positive feedback. We only talk about what we loved in the work, where the craft was really strong, where the writing was brilliant, where there was strength in it, where it packed a punch, what moved us, what we loved. We only build up, right? So those kind of comments are welcome, of course. But in real life, you can kind of inform people, like I was telling my friend, hey, this thing I'm about to tell you, this thing, right? Comments are turned off for this post. You don't just get to blurt out any kind of weird, mean, vile, hateful shit that you want to, right? For this situation, this thing that I'm telling you, right? That's the version of when you go to tell somebody something, you can say to them, hey, look, this is really sensitive. This is very vulnerable. I'm afraid to say this, but I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to share this with you, because when somebody's doing that, they believe that you're a trusted, safe space. And if you want to help somebody to never share again, if you want to help somebody to give up on a dream, act like an asshole when somebody says something, And I heard a quote the other day when somebody said, um, what did he say? Don't give a lecture when what somebody really needs is a hug. And I would say, don't give a lecture when what somebody really needs is for you to just listen. So that's that version. Like sometimes, right? People should just listen, and they should ask you, do you want me to listen, or are we trying to problem solve here? Do you want me to just listen and be here for you, or are you looking for solutions, right? You know what I mean? So in real life, you can just inform people, hey, this thing I'm about to say, it is not, the comment section is shut off. It is not, I am not open to feedback. I am not open to comments. Now, I don't think it's fair to do that, caveat, if what you're about to say like affects them. Like they should have a say, right? Like you don't just get to drop a thing on them and then expect them to be silent. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to tell you this thing, but like, don't judge me or don't be me. Well, if you're about to tell me something that is going to affect me in some way, I think the other person has the right to like have some sort of a say, you know what I mean? And the other thing too is like when you're about to say something, like meaning like, hey, I'm a writer, or hey, whatever. In my head, I think of it as almost like being at a press conference and you're sharing things. You know how the people at a press conference will say, I will not be taking any follow-up questions. I will not be taking any follow-up questions or suggestions. Because guys, life is not the internet. When you are dealing with people face to face, you got to remember these are other human beings who, even if they're acting wicked tough, they do. I mean, there are obviously some sociopaths and some narcissists and some people who don't feel and operate the same way. But most people, they are tender-hearted. Most people are sensitive. Most people do have a lot of fear, even if they mask it, even if they pretend like they're not. So maybe we can all just try being a little nicer to each other. right? Both in real life and on the internet. And like I said, I don't think it's getting any better. I think people are getting more more brazen. I don't even want to say bold. It's not even bold, right? They're getting more brazen. They're getting more cruel. Like cruelty in this country has been become acceptable. Hatefulness has become even more like all of it, just all of it. Shit rolls downhill. So when the leaders of the country are acting like assholes and are like, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. But it has been demonstrated that cruelty is acceptable. And I just don't play that game and I don't operate at that level. And that's not even interesting to me. So you can remind people in your life, hey, comment section is closed on the internet. Close it down, right? Don't put up with cruelty. Don't put up with unkindness. And don't let other people bully people in your comment section either, right? That's the thing. And I know if you're like wicked famous, which I don't think any of us here are, if there's thousands of comments, you can't keep track of everything. But what you're aware of, what you're able to see with your own eyes, right? It's like we got to be able to, take a stand for ourselves, for our friends, for those we love, and for those we may not know who are strangers. But we got to step in sometimes, and we gotta be the one who says, nope, 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 not on my watch. You know what I mean? So look, your opinions do matter sometimes, but not all the time. Not freely, not in every single friggin' thing. And then let it pass through the three gates, right? Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And I'm telling you, if you pause long enough, you will find yourself typing a lot less. You will probably find yourself speaking a lot less. And it reminds me of one other quote that I love. I hope I can get it right. It says, I think, it's really hard. It's really hard to improve upon silence, right? It's really hard sometimes to improve upon the silence. Silence sometimes is one of the greatest things. In fact, I might do a whole thing on silence in a moment, in another episode. But for now, I hope this was helpful. I hope it gets you thinking about like, the internet, everybody thinks like the internet's my own personal playground and I can say and do whatever I want. Nope. Because look, there are consequences. Even if they don't show up right away. Even if you don't believe in karma, I will tell you it's simply science, cause and react. And if causal is your assholery and douchebaggery and you being a dick to people, it's coming down the line because that's just science, right? Think about two chemicals. You put something in, you drop the other thing, there's usually a reaction. Cause, right? And effect. There is an effect, right? There is an effect to the things you think and say and do. So why not try to put more good stuff in the world? Why not try to leave people better and animals better and the world better? The other people, the environment, the planet, better than how you found it. Shouldn't that kind of be the goal? That your life and your words and your voice is used in a way that is purposeful and meaningful in the direction of good, in the direction of love, in the direction of justice, in the direction of wisdom and temperance and courage, that we use our voice for good. Oh my God, don't get me started. Okay, I'm going to wrap this sucker up. May you leave the animals, yourself, the other people, the planet, the environment better than how you found it. Wherever you go, may you and your energy and your attitude and your presence and your love and your comments be a blessing. Bye.